Hello, EKN Nation. How are you? Rob Howden here alongside, if we do this right, David Cole. Got it for another edition of Face2Face here on our YouTube channel. If you're just tuning in right now and haven't subscribed yet, smash that subscribe button. Lots of content, of course, coming out on YouTube. We really kind of embraced this platform in 2020 and 2021. So, again, great to have you with us. Another Face2Face show, episode 40 of our Face2Face. We just had a chance to chat yesterday with Andy Saisman from the Challenge of the Americas and the California Rock Championship. Today, though, we're going more mid-south of the United States in a series that's really growing like crazy, having a tremendous start to the 2021 season. It's the Texas Sprint Racing Championship, the Texas Sprint Racing Series. Let me get that right, the TSRS. David, you and I have kind of been tracking it for a little bit. Growing over the last couple of years, and then, man, launching big time at NOLA this year, back in March before the SCUSA Winter Nationals, then having a huge race at Denton, Texas with North Texas Karters. This really is a good focus on how club karting, regional karting is starting to explode again here in North America.
Yeah, Texas has always been a hotbed for karting, and as large as it is, there's a lot of racetracks, but there's a lot of racers as well too. So you're able to have the regional programs that have existed over the last few decades, and this is certainly has become the program to be part of. If you're looking at more than just club racing, for sure, or the national drivers keeping in tune with what's going on. So it's that good in between program that we see a lot of different areas in the country that have a program similar to this. And
we always talk about the sport as being a pyramid, right, guys? It's the bottom end, it's club racing. That's the foundation. From the fastest drivers there, those looking for more competition, maybe move up to the regional level or if racing within their state or their region. Of course, drivers with the budget and the desire and the skills to do so move their way up into national racing, which takes place all over the country. In terms of the Texas Sprint Racing Series being that regional program, David, you and I always talk about everywhere we go, there's always really, really highly talented Texas racers running up front at national level. Well, they cut their teeth and continue race at the regional level. Texas is probably one of the regions where we've seen so many of the national top guys develop.
Well, for sure. Like I just said, it's been a hotbed for karting for the last few decades, for sure. And dating back to when karting even first began, a lot of the first IKF road race Grand Nationals, Sprint Grand Nationals were in Texas. That was, a big focal point for the organization. And certainly when SCUSA began, Texas was a big part of it as well, too. So it has there's a lot of history. And again, it's just that cyclical thing. There's a lot of new racers that are involved in the state, along with a lot of veteran racers and a lot of race teams as well, too, that come from the Lone Star State. And some great spectrum of racetracks. You got legendary tracks like North Texas Karters and Denton, which has been around a long time. You got Katy, Texas. But then you got new facilities like Alan Rudolph Speed Sports Racing Park, the Amarillo Kart Circuit out in the west side of Texas. Kart Moto coming in online now, more facilities coming in Texas. So let's get things underway. Let's bring our guest in. From the Texas Sprint Racing Series, the promoter is Brittany Lobaugh. I've been around the sport for a number of years, married her way into one of the big families in karting, the Lobaughs. Brittany, though, obviously your whole family, both sides have been part of karting as well, right? Talk a little bit about your background in karting before we talk about the series.
So my brother, who's 10 years younger than me, had been racing since he was 5. So I kind of grew up in the sport. And then we went to Italy, and I ended up meeting my husband at the Rotax Grand Nationals in Italy. All right. So, it's pretty much kind of one of those funny things. Everybody's like, man, like, that's a great story. It is. So I think some people don't even realize that that's how that happened. They're like, wait, you met him at a go-kart track? Yeah, well, that's
exactly
pretty much where our life started.
But then we pulled you in. We dragged you into it, right? You had another career beforehand. Now you find yourself running this awesome Texas Sprint Racing Series. It's been a couple of years. What was the steps in deciding that you were going to get into the promotion side of things?
Well, it's so funny. While we were running a team, or my husband was kind of running the team, and I was helping, him with some of that, I, got bored, as if that's possible, and started helping on the back end, running registration and learning the different sides of things, and ended up getting asked to help out with the Texas Sprint Racing Series as they were kind of just starting out. They had like 60, 70 entries, and said, I see you can bring some value to us. And so I kind of started helping them, and they asked me to come in as a partner and kind of take things further. I ended up taking it over. I just, as we do sometimes.
That's it.
And just, you know, kind of realizing that I thought I could do more with it. So as things transpired, I ended up partnering up with IKF, and then the following year bringing SCUSA on board as well. And just sort of taking it to continuing to grow. We've, you know, taken it from 60, 70 entries to we've had over 180 this year at every race.
Man.
And, you know, increasing our, you know, number of sponsors, our prize packages, they're just pretty incredible. You know, we have all kinds of things happening this year, and bigger tracks, and, you know, lots of, we had 40 entries in our K100 class last race at North Texas Carters.
Yeah.
And imagine no turn one incidents in the first.
Wow.
Not a single incident in
That's
turn.
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
they all made it through lap one. So,
well, listen, you laid out a bunch of stuff, and we're gonna knock things off because there's a lot of stuff to talk about for the prize package that you put together, all the teams and the sponsors you have on board. Let's first start with the racing, right? Because I think that's the key. You guys came out of the gate strong. Obviously, a nicely positioned race at NOLA Motorsports before the SCUSA Winter Nationals. That's going to give you a bump, as you always do, you know, when you're there. But then that momentum and what you guys did there as an organization, moving to North Texas Carters at Denton, you have to think, yeah, you know what? We had that big bump where before the Winter Nats, we're going to get some big teams. But then you have this massive event at Denton, Texas, which really is your core group of people. Let's talk about that Denton race, because all I heard coming up to the race and during and after the weekend was it was fantastic. The atmosphere was great. There were, like, you know, you had a different drivers in 206 in the Briggs classes. It was just big all around.
It was huge. You know, we kind of lost some of our X30 class, but they've all basically moved into K100. So we just had that epic 40 entry class, and we put them all on the track for the finale.
I like it.
So it was, you know, I think that we shared the photo, and not even all the carts were in the photos that were online for that. You could not even, you know, if you counted, that we were still missing some. So it was an incredible sight to see. And I think we're gearing up to have close, if not more, entries for that K100 class this race at Speed Sports.
I have to believe that so we have talked this all the time. We believe, you know, numbers breed numbers. People have that that FOMO, right? Why wasn't I there? Everybody was there and I wasn't there. Did you just in the atmosphere and talking to all your customers, talking to the racers, the teams? Is it just a really good vibe, or does it feel like Texas is like back together with one regional unit?
You know, we're just like a family at the track. You know, it's funny. I walk around and you know, you smile, you get high fives, it's just, you know, everybody, you know, people comment all the time, how do you know everybody? And I'm like, well, that's my job. Maybe it's not my job, but I make it my job, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm standing in registration, checking people in, I know almost every customer by name as they come in. So even some of the girls working for me are just, you know, can't believe that as I have close to 500 people walking through the door, I can acknowledge almost every one of them.
That's awesome. Hey, David, let's bring it to you. You got to talk about karting being a family sport, right? It seems like Texas has really gotten back to where it is that family sport. Even if it's not your family, it's the extended family in the tent, just the extended family in the paddock as a whole.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of get into, because there's a lot of teams in Texas. So I think, and you being involved in the sport for such a long time, you know, a lot of those members who not only own teams, but have been part of teams or come in and do mechanic work. Do you think that has been a key factor into the growth, is the number of race teams that you actually have supporting the program?
You know, it's funny because I had some like of my more grassroots people being like, man, there's too many teams. I go, you know, but they bring in our sponsorship, they bring in the coaching, the parts, the really beneficial part of really growing it. So the grassroots stuff is really awesome. And we try to make sure that we don't leave them behind as we grow, and we still have space for the guy bringing his cart in the back of the truck, because that is just awesome, right? We have, you know, 10 to 12 kid carters racing with us, which is just amazing that those those little 5-year-olds fought, and 5 to 7-year-olds fought, and they said, "You're not giving us enough track time." They asked for more time. They wanted the exact same amount of time as we were giving all of our senior classes. So, we've really tried to make sure that we're giving everybody the same value that they get. There's nobody that's feeling left out, be it the guy in the back of the truck or, that's got his one little pop-up, or, the big team with their semi. Everybody, I think, kind of feels welcome and doesn't feel like, if they're not participating in a semi tent, that they don't have a chance.
I like that. They all pay the same entry fee.
Right. And that's kind of where we've tried to make sure that we're really listening to feedback. And, if my little 5 to 7-year-olds want to be on the track for 20 minutes, man, we will give you 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
So,
and I was going to say that has to do a lot with the class structure that you do have, because as you said, with the Briggs and Stratton kid karts and now the ever growing KA 100 programs, it seems like that's where a lot of the grassroots racers are. Not only at the club level, but at your level, the regional level, and even the national level, where they're moving, slowly up from the club to the regional to the national. So they can do all three spectrums out the back of their pickup truck.
Yeah. And we have so many people that are running more than one class with us, right? So we'll have somebody do a 206 class and a KA class, and they're out there busting their butts all day, It's just really fun to get to watch them, do. I have national drivers that are, racing 2 classes. They may race X30 nationally, but they'll come and do 206 and K100.
That I love.
Awesome.
That is awesome. I love it. All right, so let's talk about, I mentioned the first 2 races. You guys started the season in March at NOLA. It was mid-April. You were at Denton. Now you've got a couple of races actually going to be back-to-back at Speed Sports Racing Park. One race June the 12th, 13th coming up soon, and then July 24th, 25th. We'll talk a little bit about the reason you had to go to back to Speed Sports for the 4th race of the season. But you got a race coming up just over a week's time. Speed Sports Racing Park, obviously a fantastic facility, one of the, if not the best facilities in Texas. Are you excited about that one? How's the pre-entry look for that?
The pre-entry, I think we're over 135 already, and looking mighty good. And so we're excited. I mean, I got a full paddock. I have, I don't know, maybe 10 pit spots left in the paddock. It's getting close. I think this should be the biggest event that they have had at that facility to date.
I love it. And you call this one, this is a summer shootout, right?
This one's a summer shootout.
All right, I love it. Okay. And so that's going to be big, obviously, in Speed Sports Racing Park. If you're a Texas racer or outside of Texas and want to come to a big event for a track you've never been to, this is a bucket list facility. I've been there many times. Absolutely love Speed Sports. Great track. A challenging racetrack, Brittany, too. I know you're driving. Very challenging, yeah. But the challenge is physical, but it's also mental because it's such a great track in terms of overtakes. All the racetrack, David, all the tracks I go to, there's so many passing opportunities. Some are limited. I think there's at least 7, maybe 8 places to legitimately pass at Speed Sports.
Yeah, I mean, when Alan and them designed it, because I know he wasn't the only one involved, but I'm not going to call it a whole bunch of names here. But when they sat down and designed it, they wanted to make sure that it was competitive. And so the drivers, they're tired when they come off that track, man.
Yes.
It's some work out there, especially with the amount of time we give them.
I remember Jake French telling me it was the most physical track he's ever been on. So I think that's a good indication that it's tough to drive.
Exactly. You have these national level drivers that are really busting their butts out there, and it's just really fun to watch.
Exactly.
And you can see so much of the track from different parts. No matter where you stand, you can see almost all of it.
Agreed.
I think before we get into why the move to Speed Sports in July, can you kind of talk about, are there going to be differences between next week's event and then the event you're going to have in July? Is it going to be track changes? Is it going to be time changes? Or is there going to be a little mix up in that?
Yes. So the July race, we decided, since it would be back-to-back at the same facility, that we decided to make it a night race. We're still pondering the idea of changing the track layout just a bit, but we are definitely making it after dark. So the majority of the event, just because we tend to run for several hours a day, the majority of the event will be after dark with the lights, especially the final and all that good stuff. So, so the biggest change will be that we'll run Friday night and Saturday night as opposed to Saturday and Sunday. Okay. You know.
So let's go to the reason for it. I know that we were all kind of intrigued about the Kart Moto facility, right? There was a potential to try to there. What happened in terms of Kart Moto? Because it'd be great to have another facility that we can race on in Texas. What happened to elicit the move to Speed Sports?
So the track itself at Kart Moto is completely done and ready for us to take. But we have had a wicked winter down here in Texas. It has, I mean, I didn't count the days, but we've had more rain in Texas since last summer. And then the freeze that we had and all the things, you know, it's just been really challenging to get the cement poured for the pit area that we need. If we were running at a smaller rate, like maybe what we were last year or even the year before, we might have been able to make it work. But with the amount of paddock space that we need to park all of these racers, we just couldn't get the cement poured between all the rain. You know, it's not due to lack of effort, because we've all been out there, you know, visiting the facility, working on all the different things. I said, if you can get the cement poured, we will bring in all the other things, because that's what we'll end up doing in Amarillo, right? Like it's, you know, we have to go a little bit back to basics for some of these tracks, and I'm willing to do that. But, you know, if we can't get enough cement space, you know, that's not just mud.
That's it.
Unfortunately, you know, so we're working really hard, and we'll be there trying to make sure that we get it set up so that hopefully it's back on the calendar next year.
Nice. Good stuff.
So
it's a good
not
problem
gone
to have.
completely, right? You know, they were like, "Man, you really grew this year," and so
it's like a little toddler, right? They just grow up really big.
All of a sudden, what happened to you over 1 year?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you just don't realize. It's like you blink, and all of a sudden, I mean, my kids did it this year. I'm like, what did we feed you? You know, you're like,
listen, we see it all the time at the racetrack. We come back and there's some kid there that like grew like 6 inches over the offseason. His suit doesn't fit him anymore. We're like, what happened to you? Exactly. And listen, it can happen to racing series as well. So June the 12th, 13th, that is the summer shootout at Speed Sports. July 24th, 25th, the Midsummer Mashup, I believe you're calling it, for the round 4 at Speed Sports. Let's go to the season finale. I personally love this racetrack. I went and announced a couple of races there. I raced one weekend there as well. Amarillo Kart Circuit, a scaled-down version of the Istanbul Formula One circuit in Turkey. A challenging racetrack as well. I like Amarillo, too. There's a bunch of great restaurants in Amarillo, but all in all, kind of a cool place to wrap up. And like you said, it doesn't have all the amenities, right? You got to bring stuff in to be able to put on a race there, but it is a fun racetrack.
It is a fun racetrack. And as we've done the past several years, we will also have our end of the year banquet and raffle and all that stuff at that facility. So we always do a really fun event, not only the racing event, but on Saturday night, we bring out catering and we do a big prize raffle, and we have a ton of stuff, not just our normal prize package, but this is other stuff from pressure washers to sets of tires to entry for the final year, and, you know, whatever else we can kind of put together. And so we give that not just to our champions, to anybody that kind of comes out. We do a giant raffle as part of our end of the year banquet, not championship banquet, but just banquet to celebrate all of our racers, because we want them all to feel important. It's not, you know, just about those people that are winning at the end of the year, because they're great. I mean, we love them, but we want to make sure everybody knows that we celebrate them and appreciate them all coming out all year.
You mentioned big prizes, and I went through the website, and I knew this before, but man, you got a lot of stuff going on. First, second, third, lot of stuff. You're really leveraging your relationship with SCUSA. You leverage your relationship with the IKF in terms of Grand National tickets, Super Nationals prize package, and then you put together your own Texas Sprint Racing Series package, where if you win a championship, you get supported for the next year, right?
Correct. So our champions all the way around get the entire year of racing in 2022 completely free. Not tires, but they get entry completely free. Yep. And then plus, depending on the class, they have the opportunity to race, like you said, Super Nats or IKF Grands. And most of those championship packages also include tires at the Super Nats or IKF Grands. That's huge, value there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Plus the guaranteed start on Super Sunday for any classes that have LCQs.
Which is a little ace in the hole, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then, like our KA class, their second place, they also get Grand Nats, IKF. So since they are a SCUSA and IKF, they have the opportunity for both. So first place goes to Super Nats, second place goes to Grands.
I had that written down. That's really cool. I love that. Now listen, to put this together, obviously we get a chance to talk to you. You've been in the sport a long time, but as you know, and you've done this, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Let's talk about the staff that you've wrapped around you, because really, you're the point of contact when you come in for registration, get things underway. You're the promoter, but yes, a good promoter always steps back and lets their staff handle race weekends. Who have you assembled in Texas to run your events?
So we have John Over coming in as our race director, and he also helps out SCUSA nationally. So he is, awesome. He gets to see firsthand what's going on all over the country. So he's really helpful. We actually share several staff with the SCUSA national team, which again, it gives them that experience on, coming with us and being able to kind of make better calls all the way around, hopefully. My registration team is awesome. I have my girl Trish, and she really has stepped up when I have to be in other places, because that used to be, when we were smaller, I could kind of hang out there and help out with all those things. Let's see. I have, and just we kind of keep acquiring different people, and we have a few moms from our, racers, but otherwise, we try to bring in people that are not necessarily associated with racers, so that we know that we're getting really good calls and no favoritism going on as much as possible.
So with everything that you've got put together, we've talked about the fact you got a great schedule, you're going to great racetracks, you got good momentum coming out of the season, you're going to have a great race on the 12th and 13th of June, as well as Speed Sports. What's the future look like? Is it all about just trying to keep growing slowly and just bringing more teams and more sponsors in? Because you got a lot of great stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, we want to just, keep this momentum going. Like I said, we've pretty much grown every year, and it's great. My biggest problem now is finding tracks that can hold us, right? Because as you grow, that's always fun. We're sad to say goodbye to some of our smaller local tracks. We really miss those, like the track itself. So as some of these newer tracks like Kart Moto come in and they have facilities that can hold us, we're excited to kind of see some new tracks and maybe go back to some old ones. I know there's some other facilities that are working on sometimes getting a second track or reviving their facilities. And as much as we love going to Speed Sports more than once, our hope is that next year it can be as planned this year, where every race is at a different facility.
Yeah, no doubt.
And making sure, because we really like the single race format versus having, double headers. Double headers are fun, but it's exhausting for our racers with the amount of time we give them on the track. So,
And it probably puts a little bit more pressure on those grassroots racers who like to only go to the racetrack once or maybe twice on a weekend, where they can show up Saturday morning or Friday morning and be home by Sunday and still have that day off, and less money they have to spend per race weekend.
That's it too.
Right. We really try to keep our race entry like budget friendly, less like mandatory purchases all the way around. We want to support our teams too. We want them to feel like they can still come support their drivers and not feel like you know, it's all just so taxing on everybody. So it's I mean, at our last event, we even had, you know, like a Nerf war event that we did. We try to do fun stuff if we can. Yes. We actually did it on the track, so it was really fun.
Wow, all right then. Take you about 8 hours to pick up all the Nerf bullets all over the place, right?
Well, you know, that was the second part of it is since we were able to get a sponsor for that event, we had the kids pick them up, and whoever brought me back the most Nerf bullets got a little bit of prize money with that too. So
that's drawing on being a mom right there. That's how do I clean this up? And get them to do it. Good for you.
They still had their suits on. They had Nerf bullets in every part of their suit. It was awesome. These kids had so much fun out there.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, let's wrap up and talk about the sponsors, because any program like this, you have to have sponsors, you know, class sponsors, whatever it may be, to provide a lot of the funding to make this happen.
Yeah.
I know you got a great sponsor group together. It'll give you an opportunity just to kind of go through the sponsors that you have.
Yeah, we have my list over here.
Get the list.
Yes. I mean, we had Texas Barge, who's been a huge sponsor here in Texas for a long time, and they're amazing. So they're our title sponsor. And then we have, you know, Briggs Racing that's come in and sponsored us with a lot of our raffle prizes and things like that. So we usually raffle things off every race. We have Avinco, SCUSA, IKF. They're always wonderful to us. And then, you know, we have all of our class sponsors, A&M Excavating, Precision Fab Works. Actually, I think they wanted to go with their Precision Storm Shelters this year. They have multiple businesses.
That's good.
Right. We have Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, International Mechanical Services, Crosslink. We have Fullerton Motorsports. We have Exertech, Kart Racing Solutions. Amarillo Kart Circuit is one of our sponsors. Seville Electric. We have Core Karting, 4T Concrete, and the partner with Briggs is Ferris Motors. We have Performance Stop as our safety sponsor this year. AIM Sports with microns or stopwatches. They always give us some fun prizes.
That's awesome.
RLV, VP Fuels. Besser Health is our banquet sponsor this year. And we had so many people interested in supporting us this year. We had Fast Lap sponsors from Karting Depot and Arcane Motorsports. Our clothing sponsor from the Ashes. And last year, and every year at the raffle, we give a sponsorship package away. So we also have Heims Racing that won our sponsorship package last year. So
that's awesome.
We have so much support here in Texas. It's incredible.
Well, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Obviously, a great look into more of the positivity that's going on in the sport. I think, you know, for a lot of us, when everything happened, you know, in 2020 back in March, we wondered how the sport was going to be able to handle it. We were somehow able to open up and go racing, and really, I think it was a big thing for the sport. It seemed like a lot of people realized how great karting is as a family sport, just being able to get outside, and everybody kind of embraced it. And that's why we've seen so much more momentum moving forward. And to be able to have Texas, you know, as one of the models of a regional program where someone's going in, the tracks are working together. It's good to have a model like this. Everybody can see what kind of momentum you can have when people work together.
Yeah, I mean, last year was crazy. We were very, very lucky. We only had to cancel one race and made it up with the doubleheader. So our Texans were, you know, they were diehards, man. They did not want to leave the track.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, listen, good luck at Speed Sports, June the 12th and 13th. I love the fact you're doing the night race in July. And then, of course, capping things off, Amarillo. I'll give that date again, September 18th and 19th. Amarillo Kart Circuit, a fantastic track. But, Brittany, congrats on everything you and your staff is doing. I love to see it for Texas karting. It seems like you guys have so much momentum. I hope things keep rolling to the end of the season for you.
Thank you so much. Me too.
I love it. Dave, thank you so much. Brittany, take care. We'll wrap things up here. David, this is it, right? You look back at Texas. You and I have been doing a lot of races in Texas. SCUSA Pro Tour, SCUSA Pro Moto Tour races, IKF Road Race Grand National, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? There's a lot of races we've gone to in Texas because, like you said, karting started in California, but man, it's just such a karting group in Texas. And I love seeing it kind of, I don't want to say it fell off, but it was kind of disorganized a bit there. people were going in different directions. It seems to me like everybody's pointed back in the same direction, which is exciting.
Yeah, and you get that with all the different areas and different sections of the country and North America and the world even. You know, when FIA changes things, it takes a little bit of time for everybody to get back behind it. And now, obviously with the numbers that she's talking about, there's a lot of people in Texas, not only racers, but teams. And as she said, all the different companies that are just throwing their support into the program. And it's a great problem to have, being too big. We're seeing that, we saw that with the Pro Tour, where we have to go to these bigger facilities in order to hold it all. USPKS, they're having that problem right now. They have to go to race facilities that are too big. But for a regional program to have that problem, it's amazing. And that tells you that the growth is there. There's a lot of growth right now in the sport of karting, and that's a great example of what's going on.
And I think you could hear it in Brittany's voice, and that was exciting for me. It's about the customer service, right? The customer who having their experience at the racetrack, and I think that's obviously something that so many of the organizations are really getting a hold of now. You got customers coming in, you want to give them a great racing experience, so they go home and tell guys to come back and race with you next time. So again,
and she's right. As the promoter, it is your job to know everybody's name that comes through the door, because they're your customer. You're there to take care of what they need, what they want, what they would like. That's a big thing too. She's listening to what things they like, what things they don't like. So it's great to see that. And on behalf of David and I, it's hard to remember everybody. So if you come out wearing your karting suit, just say or helmet. Or helmet.
Who is this guy? Exactly. I love it. All right, folks, that was a great chat. Brittany Lobaugh from the Texas Sprint Racing Series, tremendous karting program in Texas. You heard all the racetracks they go to. A lot of big things happening this year. 3 more big races, 2 at Speed Sports, 1 in September at the Amarillo Kart Circuit in West Texas. Fantastic track. If you go there, go to 575 Pizzeria. Fantastic pizza. Every time I've gone there, I've been there. It's awesome. Great beer as well. Great beer lineup.
Now I'm craving pizza.
It's so good, David. It's so darn good. I'm telling you, it's so good. Again, great series, folks. Thank you so much for joining us here on another edition of Face to Face. Lots more to come. On behalf of Brittany, David, myself, Rob Howden, book it.